If you're an adult beginner in ballet, today's video is something you will not want to skip, and that is ballet class etiquette. These are the sort of unspoken rules that help to keep a class running smoothly, but also help you to feel confident, comfortable, and respectful towards others. So there are two different types of classes that you might take. One is a drop-in class where you can be spontaneous, you can just show up on the day, pay your entrance fee, and then pay your class fee. Or you might want to sign up with a school, in which case you'll prepay usually for about a term with that particular dance school, and then you'll usually have weekly lessons at the same venue, usually with the same teacher. But either way, for your first ballet class, you'll want to arrive at least 10 minutes early. This is because the time it will take to get through reception, get unchanged, find your studio, you'll need at least 10 minutes for that, and you certainly don't want to be late. Classes usually are quite punctual. They'll start on the dot or as close as possible, so you do not want to be late. This will really interrupt the class. Now, the rules regarding where to put your belongings will vary depending on the studio, but the studios that I know in London will usually have a changing room where you can leave your coat and your outdoor shoes, and then you'll take your personal belongings with you, your valuables, into the studio. You don't have to leave your coat and your shoes. Again, it's usually at your risk, but generally they are fine in the changing room. You'll want to take your valuables with you though, and so usually you'll bring a small bag with you into the studio. Most studios will have a pigeonhole where each dancer can put their belongings, but if the studio doesn't have a pigeonhole, then I'd really recommend you just place them to the side in the studio, well out of the way. And if there aren't other dancers to follow, you can always ask your teacher where the best place is. Then you'll make your way over to a spot at the bar. Typically, you'll be allowed to bring a water bottle and maybe even a small towel with you. And then if you are doing point work, you should be able to bring your point shoes with you at your place at the bar. But again, studios differ, so always check with your teacher to be sure. But from my experience, most studios allow at least a water bottle with you at the bar. Do not wear your outdoor shoes in the studio. If you don't want to leave them in the dressing room, you need to take them off and then carry them into the studio over to your pigeonhole or the designated spot for your belongings. As you can imagine, no food or alcohol is allowed in the studio, not even chewing gum. Not only is it a safety issue, a choking hazard, but also it's impolite and a sort of a professional standard that most studios maintain. Now keep in mind, especially if you're going to a ballet school rather than a drop-in class, some of the other dancers who've been there longer than you might have a particular spot at the bar that they use regularly. So just be mindful of where you stand and check that it isn't someone's special spot. This is less the case with drop-in classes because, as I said before, they're more spontaneous, so you'll have new people coming in and out all the time, but it's just something to be mindful of. Now, this rule isn't so much etiquette, but just something that I would advise if you are new to a ballet class, you are a complete beginner. I would really recommend you place yourself in the middle of the bar. So that's not at the front and not at the back. We repeat each exercise on one leg and then we'll turn and repeat it on the other leg. So even if you place yourself at the back of the beginning of the exercise and you think it's great because you can see all the people in front of you and you can copy them, when we turn to do it on the other leg, you will then be at the front and you won't have anyone to copy or follow. So if you are feeling a little nervous, just place yourself in the middle. That way you've got people either side of you. Now, a slightly strange but important etiquette rule is that when you turn between each side of an exercise, you must turn inwards towards the bar. Do not turn away from the bar. This is quite an old school rule and it might not make a huge amount of sense, but I promise you it's a great way to show respect and to be polite in your ballet class. Now, it goes without saying that we should never lean on the bar or fidget. You should always try and maintain good posture even when resting in a ballet class. But one that you might not know is that we do not cross our arms in ballet. It's considered quite rude. So instead you can put your hands on your hip, you can put your hands behind your back, but we never cross them. When we come into the center for our center exercises, be really mindful of the spacing. Pay attention to the people behind you. Make sure that they can see themselves in the mirror, that you're not blocking their view. We use the mirror to correct ourselves. It's not a vanity thing. But also, when you finish an exercise, check where you should be exiting. In general, we'll move forward slightly in a center exercise, and then when we finish it, we'll run forwards and outwards so that the next group behind us have space and we're not turning in towards them and causing a collision. If you do an exercise that comes across the room, maybe on a diagonal, again, do not run back into oncoming traffic. Keep following that line away from the new group. Now, talking isn't forbidden, but do try to keep talking to a minimum, and if you do need to talk to the other dancers, keep it to a whisper so that you're not interrupting your teacher or the pianist. Usually questions are welcomed by the teacher, but if you have a question, just raise your hand as you would in any other class. Now, etiquette regarding the pianist and the piano. A big one is do not place anything on the piano. This is a sure way to annoy your pianist. The piano is not a table or a shelf, so do not place your phone, your water bottle, or even your elbow on the piano. Keep it free and stay respectful to your pianist. Speaking of the pianist, if you are standing next to the piano whilst the pianist is playing, just make sure that you're not blocking their view of the other dancers. They will need to keep watching the dancers as they're playing, and it can be very difficult for them if another dancer is obscuring their view. At the end of the class, the teacher will usually lead a reverence, which is just a way of saying thank you to the teacher and the pianist. This will usually involve a curtsy or a bow of some sort. But then after the reverence, you'll notice, especially in adult classes, that the students will applaud the teacher and the pianist, and this is just a way to show appreciation for the class. We even do it in company classes and ballet classes. At the end of a class, or even at the end of rehearsal, sometimes we'll applaud whoever led that lesson or rehearsal. Learning ballet class etiquette is almost as important as learning the steps, and it helps create a respectful, focused space where everyone can grow and develop. And I know this feels like an awful lot of things to remember, but don't worry, even if you forget some of these things, as long as you stay observant, positive, friendly, and always feel free to ask questions, you'll fit in beautifully. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love to hear how your first ballet class went, so you can write to me in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.